There we go. Now we're recording. Welcome everyone to our live chat. We are going to do a Q&A with all of you. And so basically you can use the Q&A feature through Zoom. And there you can type in any questions you have, and you can actually even rank questions. And so the top ranked question will be the questions that we are answering. And so you can access that through the Zoom panel. It's Q&A. And yeah, feel free to start submitting these questions. And just as a reminder, we're USC students, so we can't answer any admissions related questions. For that info, I can share a link to our admissions website. And just to get started, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Riley, and I'm a junior studying industrial system engineering here at USC, and I also have a minor in Spanish. I'm involved in an organization called Troy Camp, where we work with the local LA community. I'm also involved in National Society of Black Engineers, and I did undergraduate research in my freshman year.
Hi everyone, my name is Naya. I'm currently a senior studying mechanical engineering. I'm from Yorba Linda, so about an hour from here in Orange County. Some of my involvements at USC is I'm the powertrain lead for USC Racing. So that's one of the design teams on campus where we kind of design, build, and race a quarter scale formula style car. And then I'm also part of NESB, like Riley, and I'm on the pre-collegiate initiative. So a lot of what I do is kind of doing volunteering events with kids in the LA area.
Hi everyone, my name's Cecilia. I'm a junior studying electrical and computer engineering here at USC, and I'm from Delaware, Ohio. Some of my involvements include that I'm basically an undergraduate TA for our Introduction to Embedded Systems class here at USC. I'm involved in the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers as the director of external relations. So we get to give back to the Hispanic or Latino community. And then I also have past research experience, and I've been a part of RPL, which is our rocket propulsion lab, as a part of the avionics team.
Hey, I'm Jake. I'm a junior studying computer science. I'm from Glendale, California, so SoCal, pretty close to university. At USC, I'm the VP of our quant finance organization. I also play lacrosse for USC. I've done research at Caltech. I've interned at Big Tech, and I'm going to be interning at a quant firm next summer as well. And I'm also involved with some of the startup incubators on campus, so Lava Lab, SCP, and just kind of like the entrepreneurship scene on campus as well.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Gerson. I'm a senior studying biomedical engineering, also doing my master's in electrical engineering. Originally from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Here on campus, I'm a part of med design, which I literally just got off of a meeting for. It's basically a med tech design team organization. I've also done a couple projects in my lab, the biomedical microsystems lab, hopefully getting published soon. We'll see. Yeah, I've been playing violin for 12 years, so I keep up with that in the Student Symphony Orchestra every weekend, which I should be at the rehearsal right now, but I'm not. So yeah, I'm doing this, and yeah, I'm super, super excited.
Okay, amazing. So just as a reminder, this is a Q&A, so make sure to open your Q&A Zoom feature and go ahead and like those questions and submit your own. And so the first question that we're going to have tonight is about undergraduate research opportunities. And so they want to know, or Theodore wants to know, can you share how easy or hard it is to find research opportunities on and off campus, and are research opportunities encouraged?
Um,
Yeah.
I can.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
Sorry.
no, Naya, go ahead.
Okay. So I did undergraduate research my first 2 years on campus, and I would say it was pretty straightforward for me to apply. They have or USC has like different programs like SURE, which is like a summer undergraduate research, as well as Curve, which is undergraduate research kind of throughout the semester. And depending on like your application or what you apply for, you could also get a stipend for your research. So that's what I had for the first 2 years. So I actually got paid for my research position, and you essentially rank the labs that you want to join, and then there's like a supplemental on like which ones you want to join and why. So the one I did was in the biomedical field, so it's a little bit outside of Megi, but I learned a lot in the 2 years that I was there. And then I also did one for the advanced composites lab, so I kind of like switched between my summer one and then the one that I did during the semester. So I did worked a lot with composites, and I also had a team. So it was really great that I wasn't just like the only one doing it, and I actually had a team of other undergraduates to work with.
Okay, Great answer, Naya. So now we'll be going to our next question, which is about what is our like favorite aspects of USC Viterbi specifically? Like, are there any unique traditions or events that we have, and like, what's y'all's student perspective?
I would say the collaboration, honestly. I think a lot of times engineering schools are stereotyped to be, very competitive. Nobody wants to share anything in any, shape, way, or form. But I think here at Viterbi, like everybody's, super willing to help out, super welcoming. And I think that's, one of the big things I love about it. Just the overall culture of, recognizing that we're all in this together and we're just trying to, do better and, learn.
Yeah, I agree. All the classes I've been in, like we're encouraged to work together. Like a lot of like the homework, the professors are like, oh yeah, you can do them as a group, depending on like what classes you take. And so that's really helpful because it's not really super competitive nature. It's just more like everyone like wants to see everyone succeed, and it's like really great and motivating for the classes. Um, the next question is from Carmen, and Carmen asks, "Have you guys studied abroad, and what abroad opportunities does USC offer?" I don't know if any of y'all have studied abroad, but I'm planning to go to Madrid next semester. I actually got into my program, and I'm going through my Spanish minor. But in terms of just general abroad opportunities, Viterbi does have specific abroad opportunities. I think like the big ones are like Edinburgh. I think there's also an Australia program where you can go for a semester away. And there's more details, like if you just look up like USC Viterbi abroad. Um, and you can also go abroad through other opportunities, such as we have like Maymesters. So if you can't go abroad through like a whole semester period, if you can't fit that into your schedule, a lot of classes will have Maymesters where you go for, I think it's like 3 weeks. Do y'all know the exact time period?
It's 2 weeks. I actually did a Maymester my sophomore year, and we went to Berlin. It's like it's paired with like one of your courses that you have to take it with as an engineer. So it's like you're writing for engineers course. So we did the course during the spring semester, and then at the last 2 weeks after finals, we went to Berlin, and it was like a pretty fun trip. So yeah.
That's so fun. And then we also have something kind of like the fall version of a Maymester. It's called a fall lead, I think. And so yeah, there's different options if you can't do a whole semester. And there's a lot of details on that if you go to USC like overseas programs, and a lot of them, for example, the one I'm going to isn't an engineering based like a broad program, but they still allow engineering majors to go based on like different requirements such as like language prereqs or different things like that in coursework. Um, yes. So does anyone else have anything to add? No, we're good. Okay. Our next question is from Avery, and Avery asks, how easy or hard would you say it is for an engineering student to double major at USC?
So I personally am not doing a double major, but I actually know some people who are. And I think it's definitely dependent on the degree or the specific engineering you're going into, and then also how many credits you come in with. So I know someone who is my major, so ECE, and she's double majoring in pharmaceutical, I think, or something like that. She had met the max amount of credits coming in. She fully maximize her course load, and then she's doing another full semester. She's going to graduate in 4 years with with both majors. I will say that's like a very specific case though, and it's definitely something you have to like fully plan out. So I think most people can achieve it in 5 years for double. But it's very case by case basis.
Yeah, it definitely depends on like what coursework you have coming out of high school. Like if you have if you have, I think it's called dual enrollment credit, or if you have stuff like that, it all just is a case by case basis, like Cecilia said. Just as a reminder, this is a Q&A, and we're talking about questions about student life at USC. Make sure you're typing in your questions in the Q&A function and upvoting them. And we are answering the highest upvoted questions. Okay, our next question is from Fernando. And Fernando asks, what is something that stood out to you about Viterbi at USC compared to other schools?
I guess I can answer this one. So for me, it was really like the design team and also the mix of like hands-on learning. I feel like when looking at a lot of other schools, you do your GE courses kind of at the beginning of the year, and then you don't necessarily get into engineering until later on by your junior year. But at that point, it's like, I don't know if I want to do what I want to do. So when looking at Viterbi, you have design teams like RPL, racing, Formula E car, and so many other like research opportunities where you can get hands-on experience, as well as like your introductory courses really teach you a lot about what you're going to be learning. So for me, the first course, AME course that I took here for like as a mechanical engineer was AME 101. And in that course, it's taught by one of the department chairs for the AME department. So he's like one of the most knowledgeable people, and he was actually also an astronaut. As well as he literally teaches you like each chapter of the course is essentially like one of the courses you'll be taking on later in your degree. So it's like you get a really overall perspective of what you'll be learning. So I like really admired that kind of introductory and like actually getting you into learning about your degree like once you walk in at USC.
Okay. Our next question is from Caitlin Hopkins, and Caitlin asks, if you could describe the Viterbi culture in one word, what would it be? I think we should all like do this one.
Oh, yeah. I guess I can start. I would say collaborative. I know we kind of touched on this with like group projects, but it really is like a group environment. Even with like a lot of class projects, they're all like group oriented, and like a lot of engineering students like to study in groups. If you go into Levy, sometimes you'll see like a lot of like engineers like doing their homeworks together, and it's like that's kind of what's expected. It's a very collaborative learning environment. So that's the word I would choose.
I would probably choose a word with a hyphen, which is kind of cheating, but hardworking. I think that a lot of engineers put in so much time into their work, and that doesn't necessarily mean that everyone's doing work all the time. I think a lot of engineers are hardworking because they want time to have fun. So I feel like a lot of like almost all my classmates were all putting in the same amount of work, and we're all work like collaborative, like Naya said, like we're all collaboratively being hardworking together.
Yeah, I would say ambitious. I think everybody in Viterbi is doing like very different things, but they're all trying to do at the very highest level they can. You'll meet people doing, you know, I don't know, like doing sports on the side, getting published in papers, making a startup, for example, doing like crazy things all over the place. And, everybody's just like super happy to be doing what they're doing, and it ultimately like pushes you to do the best that you can too.
I like that one.
What about you, Jake?
Yeah, I'm gonna say like opportunity. I think it kind of is a mix of what everyone said. There's no lack of resources in terms of like anything you want to do. So if like, for computer science at least, you basically have like the big tech route, startups, research, quant, whatever that may look like. Like if you want it bad enough, you can do it. And I think like some schools are limited by just not having the name or not having like the professors or you get like resume screened. That's not going to happen here. So I mean, as long as you're putting in daily effort and you just want anything, you can definitely achieve it. And I've experienced that myself. So I'm a walking testament to that.
Yeah, I agree with everything y'all said, and I would also add in exciting. There's just like always something going on. There's always something to get involved with. There's just always things around campus that are happening. Like there's always things in the career center for Viterbi where they're doing like resume reviews or um different events with like companies coming in. Like there's just so many opportunities, and it's a little overwhelming at times by how much stuff that we can do. But it's really amazing that we have that available to us. So our next question is from JB McKinney, and he asks, beyond strong math and academic skills, what traits do you notice in successful Viterbi classmates? That's a great question.
I feel like in my this is kind of like a side story, but in my major, since we're one of the we're not the smallest major, but we're a smaller major and we all know each other. One of like our celebrities in our major is this guy who he's so hardworking, he's so smart. And one thing that always stands out to us is like he's always willing to ask questions, he's always willing to answer questions in class. And like I think that's a trait that really makes him successful because the professors, like a lot of the professors try to know you by name. So a lot of the professors do know us, but they especially know him because he's always asking questions, answering questions, and just trying to do the most to learn the most that he can. And I feel like that really sets him apart. And that's why he's so famous among our class.
Local celebrity.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have anything to add to this one?
Yeah, I would say just like the ability to kind of like whenever you're tasked with like any problem or like anything that's kind of unknown to you, like being able to just work through it and use the knowledge that you do have, research more about it if you don't know anything, but like just given an unknown problem, just being able to kind of like get through it and solve it is like pretty good. Like, and also like just learning on the fly because you're as an engineer, you're tasked with so many unknowns. Like you might see a problem that you've never seen before, but being able to tackle that no matter like how long it takes you is like one of the really like admirable traits that I've seen as like a mechie.
Jake or Garrison, do you have anything to add to this one?
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, for computer science at least, in my experience, there's like a direct correlation between how much you do outside of class and like who gets the internship. I'll put it that way. Like the guys who just go to class and like all they do is study for the exam, they're not doing anything over the summer. It's the guys who are barely getting the homeworks done, going to class whenever they can, but they're in 15 different places at the same time, at a club meeting, going to a lab, talking to a professor, applying internships. Like that's what's going to ultimately get you more success, right? Because this is kind of like a mindset shit you have to have when you go from high school to college, is that like grades definitely matter, but what you do outside of class matters a lot more. And obviously, if you want to like, do a PhD, do grad school, whatever, that's different. But at least for CS and industry, the most successful people are the ones who put class as a priority kind of low. That's a controversial take, but it's been my experience and it's been the experience of all my friends as well.
Okay. That actually is a good take. I agree. I think like your involvements is like what stand out on your resume. Like your resume doesn't I mean it shows your GPA, but it's like a very small part that's like right at
Yeah,
the
I
top.
mean, I'll put a caveat there. Don't get below like a 3.6. Like don't like fail either.
It's like an asterisk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like actually huge asterisk because like if you got a 2.0, I don't want to hear it. Like it's not my fault. So like you can getting above a 3.5 is very much so doable, but don't stress if you get an A minus in a class. Like I know everyone's used to like I need a 4.0, I need to be whatever. Like relax, you'll be
Yeah.
fine.
It's so funny. Okay, next question. Our next question is from Alexander. And Alexander's question is, what's your experience like outside of engineering, taking classes or participating in clubs in the humanities? I guess I can answer this, and whoever else wants to answer it can also jump in, because I have a minor in Spanish. And so one thing that I think is great is with the minor system at USC, you can minor in any school. And so I took that as an opportunity to pursue Spanish. But there's a lot of people in Viterbi who have really fun minors. Our friend oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name. Mide, our friend Mide, he is a hip hop minor. Like there's there's so many random fun minors you can do, and so I would say that's a great way to have those experiences. There's also the full like GE system at USC, which everyone's required to do, and you have a great selection of GEs that you can take in a variety of humanities. I think one of the ones that I did was a sec a gender studies class. It was a gender studies class. One of the best classes I ever took at USC. It was amazing. Anyone else have anything to add?
Yeah, my freshman year, I did one of the cinema classes, and that was honestly one of my favorite classes here. It was like for my GEA, and essentially it's like a 3 hour lecture, but like the professor lectures for about an hour and a half, and then you watch a movie during the second half of the lecture, and it's in like one of the actual like theaters on USC campus. So it's like really like a movie, like cinematic like setting, and we got to watch Mad Max, we watched Parasite, and like some other like really critical films. So that was one of my favorite classes.
That's fun. I have a friend in the one right now where like they watch new movies coming out. That's a crazy
Yeah,
class. It
they
was,
change it up.
yeah, I think what did they watch this year? I think they might have done actually I don't want to like misspeak. I don't know, but it's a really cool class. It's one of the most popular ones. It books up really fast. Um, okay, next question. Our next question is from Kendra. Kendra's question is, does USC's work hard, play hard reputation also apply to Viterbi students, or is it different for Viterbi students? From my experience, it does apply. But I feel like I have a great time at USC, even though I'm an engineer. Um, I truly live by work hard, play hard. But what about y'all?
I think there's a little bit of everything. I think it just depends on, who you want to surround yourself with. There's definitely hermits that will never see the light of day. But there's always people, that are always down to have fun on the weekend, go to the beach, do something cool. But yeah, it just kind of depends on what your vibe is. And yeah, I'm sure like your people will always like find you, or you will always find your people. So I would say there's a little bit of everything.
I definitely agree with that. At least on like the lacrosse team, there's a bunch of engineers. Like one of our captains is a mechanical engineer, got a data science guy, I'm computer science. I think like half the team is in Viterbi, which is very surprising actually. So there very much so is like, or I guess like a Viterbi minor, like maybe not majors, but there very much so is like that work hard, play hard, and that's just kind of like just because of the school itself. You're not going to have as many like Gerson mentioned, just like shutouts. It's just not that kind of school, but it really is up to you. Like there's a crowd for everyone, so if you like to be just kind of more some friends inside do whatever, like you got people for everything. So as long as you're out there kind of trying to find your people, you will find them.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I feel like as like engineering students, I feel like work hard, play hard is like even more so because you have like a lot of work to do, but it's like you also have these other interests, other hobbies that you also want to keep up with. And it's like you only have 24 hours in a day and you're like sleeping for 8 of those. So it's like trying to balance those. You become like a really good time manager because you want to keep up with everything. So yeah.
Okay. We are almost 30 minutes into the live chat. So just for anyone that's just joining, we're doing a Q&A. So make sure you use the Q&A function on Zoom, get those questions in, and make sure you're upvoting on the ones that you want answered the most. And yeah, so we have about 30 minutes left. So let's see what our next question is. Our next one is from, I don't want to butcher the name. I believe it's Avik or Avik. Um, they ask, what's one aspect of Viterbi that you wish was better? For me personally, my only gripe with Viterbi is that it's on the corner of campus. It's kind of far from where I live, so I kind of it's just a trek to get there sometimes.
For me, I think one thing that's like not maybe not specific to Viterbi, and I think also doesn't apply to all of the majors. There's some classes like or I guess I'm just going through it right now with one of the classes that I'm in. Like even though all the classes are 4 units, some of them are definitely more work than the others, and I think that's something that is ultimately fair in the end because then you have a 4 unit class, it's kind of more like a 2 unit class, then you have a 4 unit class, it's like an 8 unit class. So I think and it's also dependent on professor. So I it just gets a little heavy sometimes. Which but that's kind of the price you pay when you're in engineering. So can't really be a complaint of a Turby specifically, you know.
Does anyone have anything else they want to add? No?
I can't
Okay.
really think of anything.
No worries. Viterbi is just amazing, you know? Our next question is from Florence. This is a great question. What has been your favorite class or professor and why?
I guess I can go. My favorite class was one of the sophomore classes I took as a Mechie. It was mechanics and materials. So it's kind of a blend of like statics and also like material science where you're learning about the different physical properties of materials. And the professor for that was Dr. Shekasani. And I feel like his like note structure was just actually immaculate. So it was really easy to kind of learn from him and like also keep up with all like the lecture content because I feel like a lot of engineering professors especially they're like such masters of like their fields that it's like teaching isn't necessarily like their strong suit, but with like Dr. Shekasani like the best way I can like describe is like his notes were just so organized and so perfect. So like that's one of the classes that I've like retained the most information from. But yeah.
I just want to do a quick plug since that we answered that question. There's a current series on our YouTube channel right now called Why I Chose My Major, and conveniently we have I think we have about like 5 videos up right now, but we're doing a video every week, and that's one of the questions that's asked in those videos. So if you want to know what favorite classes everyone has in their major, definitely check it out. I'm gonna drop the link to our YouTube right now. And for me, my favorite class has been my current project management class. I just really like how it just apply it's just very applicable to like anything because you always do projects as an engineer. And I just find it really engaging. Um, so our next question is from Arun, and they ask, from academic perspective, is there any big difference between ECE and CS?
I would say yes. From I think it's can be a little confusing because we have ECE, which is electrical and computer engineering. We have CECS, which is computer engineering and computer science, and then we have CS, which are like the three computery classes or computery majors. I like to think of them as like a spectrum with CS being on one side and then ECE being on the other side, and then CECS is in the middle. Um, CS is like obviously more software. However, I'm not super familiar with it, so I'd love to hear what Jake has to say after this. But like the way I see it, even ECE is like it's hardware and software and how they combine together, but then you can still choose to be more software based in ECE and you can choose to be more hardware based. I would say like if you're really, really interested in hardware, ECE would probably be your best bet because that's really where you can get into it. But then again, you get CECS, which is like a mix. You get to dip into EC and you get to dip into CS. And then CS is more like your programming, discrete math, other things that you guys take. Jake, if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say the main difference, I mean, Cecilia covered basically all of it. CS kind of ends where like EC starts. So basically we'll go until like assembly bits, what is binary. We're not the ones making the chipboards that like make binary exist, if you know what I'm trying to say. So like you'll basically learn enough to make you understand why and how a computer works, which you do need to know. And I will say it's very important. Like it may seem like because you're gonna have to take like an EE class, like embedded systems, and also a systems class, which is like what is assembly, what's like it all seems a bit useless because like I'm not going to be doing this at my job. But if you really understand that, that's what makes you a good engineer because you have to understand, okay, if I'm going to be making a platform for like millions of people, to make this fully efficient, I have to know like the memory aspect of it. What's like the runtime, the efficiency. Implementing all these things is the difference between like literal hundreds of thousands of dollars in compensation. So it is definitely worth it. And I would just say as like a degree as a whole, you cover everything in CS. Like you'll do the basics, like discrete math, programming, whatever. And then as you get to like junior upper you can take like ML, more low level stuff, compilers, more AI classes. Like it really is up to you. So I think it's much more broad, but not that low level.
Yeah, and I will add that like even the most hardware of ECE, which is kind of where I want to go, like you have to take a programming class that's like, oh, this is like your basic. It's not nearly as difficult as CS, but like you learn algorithms, data structures, kind of the basic of that. To like because you have to know how to do that, even if you're focusing more on the hardware aspect of it.
Yeah, you definitely have to know both. Like don't just think like,
Yeah,
oh, I'm ECE, I don't know how to program. You're basically useless because like it's still a computer at the end of the day.
yeah.
And if you're a CS major who doesn't know why RAM works or how a CPU works, good luck optimizing something because you have to know what that is. So, and obviously, look, the more you know, the better. So, like, never feel like, oh, like that's not my major. Like, learn it. It will help you.
Nice. Okay, our next question is from Dominic, and Dominic asks, "How easy is it to get classes within Viterbi in terms of class selection and signing up for classics? Does credit from AP classes make course selection easier or give any sort of advantage?"
And I'll answer first again, but I think how easy it is to get classes within Viterbi. I feel like I'll just go like into like how registration works because I know different schools are like very different. My boyfriend goes to one of the UCs and their registration process is like, oh, they get assigned like a first wave, and then that first wave they register for a certain amount of classes, and then their next wave, they can waitlist a certain amount of classes. So they don't even get like all their classes in one go. At USC, you get your registration date basically picked out based on your class standing, so how many credits you have. And one benefit to bringing in coursework, like AP coursework, is that you come to USC with credits already, and then that will move up your registration date. And then obviously that would kind of cascade, like as you get older, soon you'll be like you could be a junior with senior class standing, and then you'll get an earlier registration date. But then again, if you really need a class and it fills up, you talk to your advisor and they will open a spot in the class for you, or they will make an adjustment in the schedule for you, or they will do something like that for you. I have personally, and people that I've talked to have never had an issue with, I need this class, and like if I don't get it, I'm not going to graduate. They're gonna make it work for you somehow. I feel like Viterbi is very accommodating in that aspect. Um, and the registration process, I like it. I think it works. It's not too busy, it's not too difficult. And the only thing that you might run into is like a GE. Like everyone wants this GE. It's like, oh, well, there's so many GEs to pick from, so it's not really gonna affect you.
Yeah, I would say registration for me has never been a problem, at least not on the USC side. I've personally made mistakes where I think like a year or two ago, I just procrastinated until the week before classes started to register for all my classes. Somehow I still got all the classes I wanted though. So yeah, I think it's definitely not the worst, at least compared to what the horror stories I hear at other places.
Okay, let's make sure we're still getting questions in the Q&A and upvoting. Our next question is from Jinwei. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. What kind of experiences in high school helped you to prepare for engineering in college?
I would say for me, like I did athletics for like all 4 years of high school. And honestly, like a lot of engineers and like also a lot of like Viterbi students, like you hear the like term like engineering plus, like you're always doing something outside of engineering. And that really just kind of like opens up your perspective as an engineering student because I feel like with USC, whenever they're like training or not training, but like kind of teaching new engineers, they want you to be multifaceted. So it's like also coming in with like just other experiences. Don't solely focus on like engineering. So like obviously like it'll help you technically, but you're gonna learn that stuff here. So it's like enjoy like involve yourself in like athletics or like other clubs on in high school, like whatever your high school has to offer, or even if like they don't have something that you like, then start like a new organization. And it's like just like that kind of like commitment to like what you want to do really helps you as an engineer and kind of like broadens your perspective, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I would say even involvements in your community are really important. I did a lot of like volunteer work and stuff, just what I could in high school, and I think that just adds to what you have to bring to USC, or to any school you go to. So our next question, I can answer it really quickly. It's from Safina, and she's asking about how easy it is or encouraged, if it's encouraged to minor across schools. And because I kind of talked about it already, I have a Spanish minor, and when you want to add a minor, all you do is you get actually an advisor from that minor. So especially if it's like within a different school. So for example, since I have a Spanish minor, I have a separate advisor in the Spanish department to help me with my courses to make sure I'm staying up to date. And so all you have to do is book an appointment with an advisor from that school, which is really easy. We have a little portal on our student like dashboard, I guess. And it's as easy as booking the appointment, talking about it, making sure you're still good to graduate in 4 years, and it's easy as that to get another minor added. And it is pretty encouraged, I would say, to get a minor across another school. As Naya said, Viterbi has this kind of motto, I guess, of engineering plus, where we want students to be well-rounded in a lot of things that, including engineering, but things that are outside of engineering as well. Um, Next question is from Deidre, and they ask, how do students find internships? Are they difficult to find? What's y'all's experience?
I would say you get out what you put in. I think the alumni network is goes crazy. So literally like just leverage that and talk to all the people that are working at the places that you want to work that went to USC. Um, One way that I got an offer I think last year was I reached out to my TA from freshman year who at that time was a senior, and then she worked at a company I wanted to work at, and then she gave me all the insights group, and I unfortunately got an offer there. So I think it's I think the alumni network does a really good job of like helping other USC students out, and at least I would say that's probably the biggest way of getting an internship.
Yeah, also, USC has a lot of like career events. So we have the Viterbi Career Center, which will help you look at your resume so you can review that or get some tips on like how to pick offers or how to present yourself, work on your elevator pitch. We also do have like career fairs. So there's the campus-wide career fair, which is like all companies, all schools, and then there's a Viterbi specific one. I honestly like my freshman year, I went to a career fair and kind of didn't get anything out of it. And I was convinced career fairs were stupid and a waste of time. And then I went back to the career fair and there they have like once you know how to talk about yourself and you know how to strike up a conversation and you attend events and people start recognizing your face, you can get like they'll have special interview days assigned to immediately say, okay, we'll get you a first round interview right away. They just peek at your resume and they're like, okay, yeah, I know you. I'm gonna let you through. And that process is so much easier. And there's a lot of secret opportunities that you don't really know about until you try it out. So um attending those events, there's a lot of events that Viterbi does, like almost like honestly, like so many every week. I don't think anyone could even go to all of them. There's so many.
Yeah, I feel like I said before, it's pretty kind of overwhelming how much stuff and how many companies are coming each week. Um, our next question is from Carmen, and Carmen asks about how many schools were we all accepted to, and what made us choose USC?
So I don't remember exactly how many schools I applied to, but I would say it was around like, I think around half and half the schools I applied to, I got accepted. And really what made me choose USC was just like the opportunity that is here. I'm not that far away from here, so it's like moving wasn't really a big deal for me. But being in LA, there's so many opportunities here, like especially as a Mechie, you're like not that far from El Segundo, which is like kind of the hub for aerospace. And there's a lot of like energy, aerospace, automotive companies out here, and they know that like USC, they know USC is right here, and they also come and recruit here. So like that's kind of on top of like getting all those recruiting events and knowing that like you kind of have a pretty like straightforward pipeline into like a professional career. And also just like being in downtown LA, you're like really close to like all like the nightlife, like you're so close to the beach. Like it's just like Southern California is kind of like where I wanted to stay. So, yeah.
I think we should all answer this one. I think it'd be good. So like
Oh,
kind of why USC?
oh, well, yeah, I forgot, where I applied, how many schools I applied to, where I got in. I forgot all of that, honestly. But why USC? I mean, yeah, I think a big reason for me was, again, I could tell like the community was such a big thing, the collaboration was a big thing. I remember, I say this all the time, but I remember hearing the podcast with Three Voices, which I made an episode like a few weeks ago. So you guys should definitely check that out. But yeah, I remember listening to Biomedical Engineers and Boba. Apparently, it's like the number one viewed or listened to podcast episode ever. But yeah, that kind of got me hooked. It's funny because I listened to those people before I even got into USC, and then a year or two later, I ended up befriending all of them, and it was a cool 360 moment, like realizing that.
What about you, Jake?
Yeah, for me, I can kind of similar to Niall. Like, I wanted to stay close to home. My brother went to UCLA, and like that experience of just coming home on weekends and like kind of having your friends here and there, I think that was really appealing. And also, a lot of the other engineering schools just kind of weren't appealing because like they're very one-dimensional. That's just not who I am. And I feel like that's something you really kind of have to internalize. You're not gonna get this just by looking at rankings for a school and whatever. But like I did, and I still do research at Caltech. My advisor said, do not come here for undergrad. I applied. I didn't get in. And even if I did, he told me, don't come here. The reason for that is obviously it's an incredible school, but it's a different kind of experience. You're going to be very much so locked into one place, and all you can do is that. And if it doesn't work, you put all your eggs in one basket. So don't do that. I think with USC, like the whole thing you have to remember, like you're still getting an engineering degree. It's still USC though. Like it's still one of the best party schools in the country. It still has so many good sports teams. Like a big part of why I came was because I could still play lacrosse like in college. Obviously, like I'm not going to be a professional lacrosse player. I mean, maybe I will, who knows? But like having that opportunity and also getting a good degree and all the internship opportunities that come with it, like that's also something you have to consider. So really know who you are and understand that like no ranking list is applicable to you. There's some factors that they do their ranking by, but you can go to like a top school and like literally hate it there. I know people who've transferred here from Caltech, from UPenn, from a bunch of really good places, but like all of that was because on paper they thought it was something and it wasn't what they found. So really understand where you're gonna go and ideally don't transfer because it makes your life a lot harder. But even if you do, it's fine. So I would say for me it was kind of like the school's vibe as a whole is what made me decide to come here. And scholarships, obviously, like money's nice.
Yeah.
For me, I really well, like being from Ohio, like I've been moving my whole life and I've lived in California a couple times and I knew I wanted to come back to California. So I applied to the majority of the schools in California. And I ended up picking USC specifically because um I think it was the resources for me. So resources career-wise, engineering-wise, also like the campus-wide resources. They have a lot of great mental health resources, and just support. And that's something that I knew I wanted and was important to me. So that's why I ended up picking USC because it stood out to me the most.
Yeah, and for me, it was a bit of a move. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama, so I went all the way to the other side of the US for school. And for me, what really made USC like my main choice was location, Trojan family, Trojan network, and just like the academic opportunities. I love going to concerts. Literally this semester, I've gone to like 5 different concerts. And like if I was going to school in Auburn, Alabama, or like or Tuscaloosa, Alabama, there would not be a bunch of artists coming how there is in LA. And I think LA as a city just has so much to offer. And yes, those are my reasons. Um, so our next question, we have about 15 minutes left, so hopefully we can maybe answer around 3 more in that time. Make sure you're getting your questions submitted and upvoting the ones y'all want answered. Um, so our next one is a pretty quick question. Did any of us apply early action? I also
Yeah,
applied.
probably everyone did realistically.
Did anyone not apply early action? I'm just curious. No.
I think it's restrictive. So like if you don't do it, you just don't get scholarships, which is kind of stupid. So like just apply early, dude. Like it's
Yeah,
literally the difference between like hundreds of thousands of dollars. So just like get your stuff together, get it in early. It's not that hard.
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
for me, I also applied early action. Sorry, were you saying something, Garrison?
No, I was just agreeing. And I think that the line is somewhere mid-November, late November.
I think November 1st now.
No,
It's in like
yeah,
November
it's
5 days.
early
1st.
November
November.
1st.
November
Yeah,
All
you
right,
guys
so
have
that's a
5 days.
Saturday. So if you don't have it done, like skip a Halloween party, get your application in, make like 100 grand. Your parents will be happy.
Yes.
Yeah, I literally submitted mine like Halloween night. That was crazy. I remember being like stressed out. But yeah,
Well, it
get
worked
the
out.
applications in. Um, okay, next question is are there any dual degree programs between comp sci and business? If so, would you say that the actual degrees are diluted or full-on degrees? So yes, we do have a major CSBA. I started out as that major at USC actually. I changed my major to industrial system engineering. Um, mainly just because I just realized computer science wasn't for me. And from my experience when I was there, I took courses in both business and both at Marshall, the School of Business, and computer science, which I thought was a really great experience. And I wouldn't say from the people who I know who are graduating with CSBA degrees, I don't think that they take it as it being diluted. Like it is a full degree program, and it's just like you're just kind of more multifaceted because you have that business perspective. And I've heard that recruiters think of it as like a full-on double major, as in like you have a degree from both schools, when in reality you really only have like a degree from Viterbi. You're just taking Marshall classes. So I think like that can be a pro. I just think it just depends. Like on their student experience. But if you want to see more about CSBA, definitely check out our Viterbi Voices website. There'll be more perspectives there. Does anyone else have anything to ask? Sorry, add? Sorry. No, okay. Um, Our next question is, what is the hacker or maker culture like at Viterbi? They're asking about clubs or like hackathons, that kind of thing.
I would say it's pretty big. It's everywhere, honestly. I did a hackathon last week, and I just now finished the makeathon like an hour or two ago. I ended up winning, so I'm kind of happy about that. Uh,
Congratulations.
Thank you. So yeah, it's like yeah, almost every week you can probably find something. So yeah, it's all over the place. Um, yeah, at least in terms of hackathons or makeathons. I don't know about like orgs. I'm sure I know there's makers, there's Hackasy, a lot of things.
Okay, our next question is, I like this question, it's from Gabby. They ask, are there any traditions that you think makes USC stand out? I would say for me, our big tradition that's coming up actually is our big conquest, like the rival game between like USC and UCLA. I just think like that tradition of like that historical beef is kind of fun to like to um be a part of. Unfortunately, it's the Saturday like right after Thanksgiving this year, but they're still gonna do like all of the big traditions where like they tape up all of they like put all of our big statues in duct tape to like protect them from the Bruins, from from people like I guess like vandalizing them. And I just love that tradition so much. Do y'all have anything else?
No, I really feel like the football culture here is like one of the best. And like I feel like I hear from a lot of people like the UCLA USC rivalry is kind of one-sided. Like UCLA is like, bro, why do you care that much? But it's like it's just so fun. But yeah, I really like the football community here.
Because we're just better.
Yeah, we're just like that.
Um, so our next one is gonna be from it's gonna be from Daniel, which I guess we can just go more in depth if anyone has any stories about this. He asks, how many opportunities are there for Viterbi students to take courses unrelated to their major? Do any of you want to like talk about like a GE that you really liked or something?
Yeah, I talked a little bit about like my cinema GE that I took, which was really fun, but that's just like your GE courses, which you're required to take. And I'm pretty sure you can't really waive any, or some of them you can waive depending on what AP scores you get and whether it applies. So double check that like the AP score that you get like applies and it like transfers over. Or if it's like a dual enrollment course. But I would say it's pretty easy if you have the room for it and you just need to talk to your advisor about that. So like getting credits like waived or like having credits transfer over from high school is really good because you open up like the area to or the credits to take classes that aren't necessarily like it depends on your like kind of transferred credits.
Yeah. Okay, next question is asking about coursework. Nicole asks, is the coursework heavy, hands-on heavy for CS or engineering majors? I guess they're just asking yeah, I guess like how hands-on is the coursework? Yeah.
For me, a lot of the engineering classes I've been in and a lot of the engineering classes my friends are in have lab components. So that's usually like weekly, you guys will get a new assignment and then you work on a project. And a lot of the times those are hands-on. Like in my software design class, our projects were CS code stuff. I don't know, like files. But for my more EE classes, some of our classes we designed PCBs and we were soldering the PCBs themselves. In my class in one of my classes it was EE 202, which is linear circuits. um in that class we make a final project. It's guitar and we make the filter for the guitar to filter out a certain note with the G string. And like we like have the wood and like we're cutting it and we're putting in the strings ourselves, and it's a very like very hands-on project. I think it definitely varies from class to class, but a lot of them are hands-on.
Yeah, I have a similar experience in industrial and systems engineering. All of yeah, almost all of the courses I'm in this semester have a project component, which is really cool because you can like add that to your like resume like as project experience. So I think it's really helpful. The next question that we have is from Stephanie. And Stephanie asks, what are some engineering related programs or clubs and internships? How do these programs help with future employment out of college? I know Naya has a good answer for this.
So definitely like design teams are like pretty big at Viterbi. So like that's like RPL, Rocket Propulsion Lab, racing, which is what I'm in, which is like Formula SAE. And just like clubs like that, I know like as a fact, recruiters, whenever you're talking to them, they'll like scroll through it and they'll be seeing if you have like one of those design teams. Like that's one of the first things that they look for. And FSAE is like one of the big things that's like at a lot of universities. So we compete against a lot of university teams. So when they're recruiting, especially for like aerospace or automotive, they're looking to see if you are involved in like one of those design teams because those have like the most applicable skills, at least for like aerospace or like mechanical like applications. So design teams like that is a great way to get hands-on experience. And also they know that you're hold to a higher standard because you're essentially building something that is like for example, for us, we build an actual car that we're going to race in. So it's like you're using all those engineering principles like thermodynamics, like propulsion, in an actual like physical sense and competing with it. And then you also present your design. For us, we compete against other university teams, not only to see who has the fastest car, but who also has like the most sound design. So you're like being grilled by judges who work in like companies like Tesla, Ford, or like other like really high performing industries on your design so they know you know your stuff. So I would say design teams like that are like one of like the best things that you can join, especially like as a Viterbi engineering student. And there's just so many here, like not even like just for like aerospace and mechanical. There's a lot of design teams here that you can get involved in. So there's really like a place for everyone.
Yeah, one of the craziest ones is like the civil engineering one, like concrete canoe. Like that just sounds crazy to me. Like they
Yeah.
built like a canoe out of concrete that actually floats. Like that's crazy to me. Okay, our next question is from Eva, and they ask, what's co-op culture like here?
I have a friend who's currently in a co-op. Co-ops, some universities are required, but not at Viterbi. You don't have to be, a co-op is not part of the curriculum at all. So it's really like if you want to do it and if it's like the best situation for you, then I would definitely say go for it. But he's currently doing a co-op at Caterpillar, so he's working about like 10 hours a week. So it's definitely doable, but you kind of have to plan around it and kind of budget your time that way because you are like you have a job also while being a full-time student. So it might be a bit hard to manage, but it's definitely doable.
Nice. Okay. We have a quick question about from Luis asking what's the difference between ECE and CECS. If y'all have any perspective on that.
Since we already kind of answered something like that, we can like just really briefly, ECE is like more hardware, software combined. CECS is similar. I think it's more like ECE is more hardware based though, and CECS you have the option to go in either direction. I would say like CECS is definitely the better middle ground. Um, and ECE is like I would typically refer to it more as like electrical engineering in general, not super the computer aspect, unless that's what you choose to focus on. Like each, I don't know if all majors have it for engineering, but they have like pathways you can choose, and then you can kind of specialize in something. So like in ECE, you can specialize specifically in analog, or you can specialize specifically in embedded. Um, so it's like a spectrum kind of. So. I would definitely look at the coursework online and see what you resonates more with you if you're picking between them.
Um, our next question asks, what do you guys recommend to get more involved into research at USC Viterbi?
Like getting into research, like what is the best thing, like best course of action to actually get a research position? For that, just apply to those programs like we mentioned at the beginning, like Curve, which is Center for Undergraduate Research for Viterbi. If you don't necessarily want to do research in Viterbi, definitely look for like those other programs, either like in Dorn Sci, But yeah, there's a lot of different programs that are easier to like get that position rather than just like cold emailing professors. But also do that if you have a professor in one of your classes and you really want to get involved in their research, definitely talk to them. But programs like that are much easier to like get assigned into an engine or get assigned into an engineering research position.
We have another question from Safina. She asks, how does it, or does Viterbi feel like a diverse community, or how is it being a female engineering student? Um, for me, I would say engineering as a whole in Viterbi, particularly as like a Black woman, yes, like the Black student population is small if you compare it to everyone else. But the great thing is that we have organizations like the National Society of Black Engineers. There's also organizations like SWE, which is like the Society of Women Engineers, I believe that's. And then there's other different like groups like that. Cecilia's in SHIP. Um, I can't remember the exact acronym of SHIP. Cecilia, what is it?
Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers.
Yep. There's so many different organizations like that where it makes it feel like your community is an even bigger part of the Turby. And so I've always felt supported and I've always felt like it's a diverse community. And seeing that we only have 3 minutes left, I'm gonna end their Q&A right now, but I'm gonna ask my own like special question for our panelists. And the question is, what is one bit of advice to a senior in college, to a senior in high school that we can like give as college students now? Like, what is some good advice that we have for them?
I would definitely say, explore all your interests and even things outside of it. I think my biggest regret and a regret I hear a lot from seniors is that, they wish they would have done a lot more like a variety of different things in like earlier in their college career. Um, yeah, I definitely have regrets of not like, for example, applying to certain clubs earlier. So definitely explore, even do the things that you would never think you'd find yourself doing. And if you don't like it, then never show up again and keep the things that you want to do. So yeah, just explore, explore, explore. That's probably would be my big thing.
I definitely agree
I
with that.
think
Like you mentioned, regret's the worst thing. And in my opinion, figure out what you want to do early and stick to that. You can definitely change your major, you can change what you want to do with your career path, but just understand every time you do that, you're competing with someone who never changed their career path and has been doing that since freshman year, if not before. So ideally, figure out what you want to do early and go all in with it. Like, don't go 50, don't go 7. Like, it needs to be 100% all the time. You need to be so busy to where you think this is literally impossible. And then when you're at that point, do a bit more. It needs to be so bad to where like I'm not getting there days, just gonna wake up, work the entire day, then come back and then go to bed. If you do that, you will not have regrets. Because when you have the internships, when you have the publications, when you're in all the clubs, you have the grades, whatever, and people start coming up to you for advice, that's the best feeling you can have. Because then you know you made it. You don't want to look back and think, I wish I tried harder. That's the number one regret. Everything else is a derivative of that. Give it 150%, you won't regret it.
I think that I think Jake's definitely right. I think it can be a little scary when you put it that way. So like definitely I would say try your hardest always. That is something that applies to every part of life. But I think one really important thing is to like find your people and find your support structure early on. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. There's nothing wrong with being lost or feeling scared or feeling anxious. I think that a lot of engineers deal with that. It's kind of scary, like just going somewhere and deciding this is what you're going to do and this is what you want to do. Um, but there's so many resources and there's a lot of people who are in you're never going to be alone. There's a lot of people in your situation. So I think not being afraid to ask for help. You don't want to regret feeling alone.
I would say like at the beginning, like it's definitely overwhelming. Like I know like with college application season right now, like it's very overwhelming. Like you're not sure what you want to do, like what major should you pick, or if like you're deciding between majors, like just go with like what you think is best in that moment. Like you can always like either switch majors or anything, and it's like things will work out. And you also have like people there, people who have been in your situation before, that can help advise you. Like, don't think like, oh my God, this is like the first time anyone's ever doing this. Like, no, like I guarantee you, there's always been someone in your shoes, and you just got to kind of like ask around, ask for help, and just like try and find somebody that can give you that advice.
Yeah, and I think my advice is just like going into applications and everything. I know it seems like it's just such a big deal and like you want it to be perfect. And if I could go back and give myself my own advice, it would just be like, just take a deep breath. Like, take a deep breath. Just do your best with your applications. Be yourself, be authentically yourself. Put whatever little quirks you have into anywhere where you can fit it into your applications just to make sure that whoever's reading it authentically knows who you are or gets a sense of who you are, and everything will work out. Everything happens for a reason. You'll get where you need to be. And yeah, so thank you so much for joining this Q&A session. You'll see that I linked some important links in the chat if you open it real quick. The first one is all information about just applying to USC and where you can get information about majors and different things like that. The second link goes to our events link. So if you ever want to come in person for our info sessions or go to other events that we hold through Viterbi, you can access it there. You will also see our YouTube, our Instagram, and our podcast link. Here you can find a bunch of really cool little videos and content that we make about Viterbi. Like Garrison said, listening to the podcast was one of his big reasons why he chose USC. So there's some really great information on all of those platforms. And yeah, I hope everyone has a great evening. And so good night. Bye.